But I haven't even shown you the number one cause of bad hires. Look at this guy. There he is at the job interview. There he is 10 minutes after getting home. We want to hire that guy, right? We want to avoid this guy. What have I told you? That this guy is going to show you this guy during the interview process. But we're not going to see it. The number one cause of bad hires is ignoring red flags. People will tell you or show you how they're going to fail. It's great. It's a natural tendency that people have, because if you get somebody talking, they're going to talk too much. They're going to say things or do things that are going to show you how they're going to fail. But most of the time we don't pay attention to it. How many of you have interviewed somebody who showed up late? Okay, how many people have thrown the person out that showed up late and didn't interview them? I do it all the time in my recruiting practice. My rule, and actually when my assistant schedules the interview, she tells them, 1 second late, you don't have your interview. I still have 1 out of 5 interviews that shows up late and expects to be interviewed. I had a guy on a $150,000 vice president job 2 months ago that showed up 5 minutes late. Walks in 5 minutes late. Says, yeah, I'm Gerald, I'm here for my 9 o'clock interview. I said, well, it's 9:05. Oh, yeah, 5 minutes. Well, that's no big deal. He starts to sit down. I said, don't sit down. It is a big deal. Your interview doesn't happen. What are you talking about? I said, if you can't manage yourself well enough to be here on time, how can you manage my client's $7 million company? He was quite irate. I didn't care. He showed me how he was going to fail, a lack of personal discipline. That's all I needed to see. Had another client, and thank God I was in this interview with him. They were interviewing this guy for a high-end sales job. Sales job was going to pay about a $70,000 salary, about $150,000 a plan. He'd sold in an allied industry previously, sounded good, looked great in a suit, all the right type of stuff, right? And in the middle of the interview, he drops in this little line. He says, yeah, one thing I really liked about that company that really helped me be successful was they had an assistant for me who was setting my appointments. What did he just tell us? Sam, what did he just tell us?
He's a slacker.
Well, maybe a slacker. He told us he's not going to prospect, right? My client needed somebody who was going to prospect. He leaves the interview, the client turns around to me and says, he was awesome, wasn't he? We should hire him. I said, do you want him to prospect? Yeah. He just told you he wouldn't. They ignored the red flag because they liked everything else about him. And the red flag was a crucial duty of that job. I told him, I said, you're going to have to pay probably another $50,000, $60,000 a year to somebody else to get the most out of this guy, because he needs somebody to set his appointments. He needs a caddy. Well, they started adding up the numbers and they realized that wasn't that good of a deal. But it was the ignoring of the red flag. This guy showed us how he was going to fail. If we asked him to prospect, he was going to fail. Didn't matter. They liked him so much they were willing to hire. Think back. Raise your hand if you've hired somebody that failed. Be honest, it's okay. Keep your hand up if now you're thinking of a red flag that somebody showed you during the interview process that told you how they were going to fail. Yeah, absolutely. They show us that. We ignore them. And we hire them. Why? Because we like them. We learn to like people very quickly.